I'm Rodney Willett. I'm the delegate representing the 73rd House of Delegates District here in Henrico County, representing the western and central parts of the county. And it's a delight to be here today talking to Egette Indelele. Egette is a student at George Mason University in Northern Virginia, studying psychology, and is joining us today for really a conversation. We're going to talk about something, actually, it's very important to me, and that's mental health, and particularly the stigma in so many places against getting support for folks who have mental health challenges. And Egette has taken this to personally and significantly. And she's talked about an organization named Safe Haven that she actually has founded to deal with mental health and the well-being of folks who are refugees and immigrants, students. And it's really quite a remarkable effort. And I was fortunate enough to get to meet Egette recently, virtually, but we did meet that way and learn more about this. And we thought it'd be nice to share this with a broader audience. So again, it's great to be with you, even if we have to do this by Zoom. But I thought I'd start things out just giving you to talk about how you got started and really what led you to the founding of Safe Haven.
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, it's really nice to meet you virtually. So I'll just go into like how I started Safe Haven. Well, I first started Safe Haven actually from something that I wanted to do in my future. I wanted to go back home to Burundi and start a mental health clinic for children who have experienced loss, and poverty. And at first I thought I was reaching like too high, so I decided to start in America. So I founded Safe Haven because of also my personal experience of being a refugee and growing up. Mental health was stigmatized, so it was always hard to seek professional help or even express my emotions. And since mental health was a stigma and is a stigma around the world, especially in refugee and immigrant population, I just wanted to give those students a safe place for them to talk about their experience of being a refugee, but also while also educating them on mental health and receiving mental health services as well.
Yeah. Now, we first spoke, I was fascinated to learn your background and then your family's background as refugees and then eventually as immigrants. So why don't you share just briefly that background, where you came from, where your family came from. It's an amazing story.
Yeah. So I was born in Tanzania in a refugee camp, but my family originated from Burundi, and they had moved to Rwanda as well. But due to the genocide in Burundi and Rwanda, they had to move. So they walked miles and miles to Tanzania, and that's where we lived for a couple of years until we were ready to come to the United States. So we came in 2006. I was 8 at the time, and since then we've been here.
Yeah. No, it is. It's just a remarkable story, and you didn't come alone. I mean, you say it's your parents, but you have a number of siblings also.
Yes. So I'm the oldest out of 5 children. The youngest is 7 years old, and it's just me and my mom. But my grandparents, my uncles, and my aunts also came with us. But we do still have a couple of uncles who are in South Africa. So.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And that's again just an incredible story. And then I forgot to mention, I was seeing you were at George Mason. What year are you at George Mason?
Yes, so I'm a rising senior. I'm majoring in psychology with a concentration in cognitive and behavior neuroscience.
Fantastic. And I also can't remember. I've visited recently with a number of college officials as we all look at the post-COVID academic year. So what are you going to be doing at George Mason in terms of virtual or in-person learning?
Yeah, so everything for me is online. There is one lab that I have to attend in person, but it's also hybrid, so it's online and also in person. And I'm actually glad that it's online, just because I'm paranoid with the virus and everything. So I think this past spring semester has really got me ready to like be online with like, classes and everything. So I think I'm gonna be okay, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm still learning about everything. So
Yeah. Well, I brought up the COVID impact because you can't have a conversation about anything unless talking about the COVID impact. But I think there's a great connection back to our topic of the day, and that is mental health. I've heard from so many teachers, school counselors, parents for that matter, um, health officials who are super concerned about the mental health effects on everyone, the general population, but specifically on students. And yeah, it's students of all ages. It could be pre-K, K through 12, but also into college and university graduate level. It's so all encompassing, and so many people have been impacted. So what I've been in my advocacy as the first legislator, I've been arguing, a long time before COVID hit, we needed to put more of a focus on adolescent mental health issues, more support in schools, more funding for local programs that provide that counseling. It's just too hard to get counseling. But now, given COVID, given the pandemic, I think everyone has agreed, at least everyone I've talked to, has been emphatic in saying, no, the need was great before, it's tremendous now. And so
yes.
I think what you're doing, it was important before COVID, and now it's absolutely critical.
I agree. It's really much needed, especially during this time.
Yeah, no question. Well, we'll come back to the refugee immigrant connection here. Just share with the listeners and viewers here, maybe a story, something you wish that people knew more about in the life of refugees, kind of what you've experienced. I mean, I'm talking to you today, and we all do a lot of Zoom calls today, and I work with a lot of students at different levels. So I feel like I'm talking to another George Mason student who's doing her thing up in Fairfax or whatever, and everything's good. But you come to this Zoom today from a very different background. So what has your life been like?
Well, my life has been, it's been privileged for some point. Well, as growing up, it has been privileged, but, there's been a lot of things that has happened in my life. But one thing that I really wish that, a couple of things that I wish that people would understand about refugees is, I want them to understand how hard it is from moving to a place you've known your whole life to a place that you don't know. The culture is different, the language is different, and refugees are also leaving their home due to life-threatening situations. And many of them are experiencing like really difficult events that leaves them with, different mental health issues like PTSD, anxiety, and they adjusting to the American life. It's culture and norms. That's really a lot. That's a lot that they have to go through, and it's really difficult. So I just want people to understand what it's like, or to just have a lens and just look how, it's hard for them to, come to America and integrate into a whole new life.
Yeah. And even if your English is so perfect, but how much English were you speaking before you came to the U.S.?
None.
Oh,
I did not know English at all. So there's like a program for people coming from different countries. It's called ELL, English Language Learners. So I was in that program until I was in 7th grade. So I exited out when I was in 7th grade, and they just like basically teach you English, but you're also learning the school information like math, reading, and everything. So they're just like helping you along the way. Yeah.
Wow. That's I mean, again, I just feel like I'm talking to a student like every other student I've talked to, and then there you are with that. That's such a incredible background. Well, coming back to really what inspired you to start Safe Haven, the stigma that we see with addressing mental health issues. We spoke the other day a little bit about what it was like in Tanzania and actually other places you've lived. even before you came here, and it sounded. I mean, I think there's a stigma in the United States, but it was particularly what you were describing was particularly troubling. But share some of that background, what you saw growing up.
Well, growing up with, a family who stigmatized mental health, it was difficult. There's so many things that our family have gone through, and none of them till this time have been like really processed. And I've made it my top priority to process those things one by one. So growing up, it was really difficult. There was times where I didn't know what to do with my feelings, my emotions, and going to my mom about those things wasn't welcomed, just because of the culture and everything. So I remember one time I got in trouble for seeking mental health services just because I didn't know how to process different things. So it was difficult, but right now my mom is getting like a really great understanding of what mental health is, especially since my siblings do have some of those mental illnesses, ADHD and anger management. So she has learned to welcome it and help, like, let me help my siblings, and also her as well, putting a hand in it too.
Right. Because I think I may have shared before, I mean, coming back to the U.S. and then what I've seen, what I've experienced. I mean, I certainly remember in my family and growing up and knowing people who did have mental health needs. It was never talked about above a whisper. Yes, maybe within the just amongst parents, but in terms of anything else, no. And in that sense, because it was so hush hush, I mean, I think folks, young people in particular, growing up there, they're going, well, obviously this is something we're not supposed to talk about, so I'm just going to sit on this issue. And here they were struggling. Here they had anxiety, depression, whatever that they were dealing with. And I think that's one thing I feel like we've made progress on in the United States. We're not perfect, but the number of people today who will openly share, yeah, I have an issue, or my family member has an issue, or I know someone who needs help, and then they actively are connecting them to resources. Again, I've got lots of other things I need to address in terms of those resources, because seeing or recognizing the problem is only the beginning. Now we actually have to get folks into care, and we'll talk more about that in a second. But for so long, there were so many people, even if there were resources, that's another story, but even if there were resources available, they weren't getting to them because they really weren't allowed to talk about it. And I think you see celebrities today in the U.S. who will, for their need, for families' need, they have publicly talked about their getting help and how important that is, and just sort of getting over that stigma part. So I think I've seen a positive trend that way. I mean, I'll tell you, I sit on the in the House of Delegates, the Health, Welfare, and Institutions Committee, and we deal with behavioral health issues there. We have a lot of public testimony that's given on bills we're hearing. And I was so impressed by the people who came and spoke at these hearings. These are public hearings. These things are recorded. They're broadcast. This is some be quite large meetings, but people would come to those meetings, and in some cases they're representing larger groups, and that's great. They're advocates, and they're talking about these experiences. But in other cases, they were the individuals. They were the individuals who had difficulty getting support, or whatever the issue was, and had these challenges. And to stand in a very public place and share that, I could tell you that just did not happen several years ago. You just would not have seen that. But today, people at least gotten to that point saying, look, I have an issue, and by sharing this, it's going to help other people understand that they too need to come forward and get help with whatever that particular need is. So I do think we're making some progress there. But bring me back to coming back to Safe Haven. Talk a bit about the tools that you and then Safe Haven, your organization, that you're using and going to be using to help people get the help they need.
Yeah, Of course. So there are many tools that we have like came up with, but a couple of ones that we really believe will be really helpful for the refugee and immigrant students is community building and also like relatability. So we use community building and relatability to help these students, especially parents. We want to be able to get parents to accept and encourage their students to like join our space so they can strengthen their mental health well-being, their mental well-being. We also involve staff and members and also mentors who are former refugees, just to give them the idea that, just because you're a refugee does not mean that you can accomplish your dreams. And our focus is also like, the parents, like we want the parents to encourage them and push them and like also educate them on, mental health. So, the students are able to be okay with it, be okay attending the sessions without worrying about, oh, I don't think my parents are gonna like this, or I don't think that they're gonna want me to involve myself in our program.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that's and again, you may have said this at the beginning of our chat, but remind me in terms of where the ages and types of students you're starting with. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously, I know you want to expand it, but tell me who you're starting with.
Of course. So we're starting with high school students, just because, that age is when, everything starts happening, they start
Yeah.
realizing who they are. And we didn't want to start with with a younger age because, they have that resilience. They're not worrying about, the mental health just yet. So we just want to start with, high school students, 9th grade to 12th grade, and then from there we'll expand.
That's great. The statistic that just so troubles me, and I see it. I see the statistic, and I see it in reality all the time. 40% of adolescents have some level of mental health challenge. 40%.
Mhm.
That's a daunting number. So basically, you see a couple of teenagers walking down the street. At least one of them is dealing with again anxiety, depression, some
Mhm.
kind of issue like that. So I think you're right to start. Not that there aren't younger folks and older people who have issues, but I think you really hit it there. That's the the critical age for that. One thing, and I just love your life story is so amazing. But I'm always
Thank
impressed with all the hurdles you had to overcome.
you.
Most people would say, look, I got here and I'm in school. I'm going to
Mhm.
graduate this coming year, virtually or somehow I'll graduate. You obviously have a promising future. But on top of all of that, you're starting Safe Haven and doing this volunteer work and all this public service work. So I'm just curious, um, sort of what was the spark for you that said, hey, this is, I've got my own issues and my own family to take care of, but I'm going to give back even then with
Mhm.
all of that going on. What was really the inspiration for that for you?
Well, since such a young age, like I've always been like a given person. I don't know. There was
Yeah.
times where, I wouldn't like there's different things that wouldn't sit well with me just because I wasn't a part and like helping. And one of the mentor who actually like, helped me and guided me and just gave me that spark, I guess, was my godmother.
Oh,
When
okay.
we arrived in America, like we met her at church, and she was doing such amazing things with the church and also, with the homeless individuals. And I always went along with her. So since I was 8, I was always following her, watching her um, do everything and helping other people. And that's where like that's where it came from. So ever since then, like I always wanted to do different things. Since high school, I've been serving in, for children who are living in like poverty and underrepresented communities. So, and if I'm not doing that, then like I feel like I'm not doing anything, you know.
Yeah.
And I want to be a person who has like a huge impact on my community and the whole world. So I feel like people should also strive to be that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I just want to, have that impact and, just watch my community and the people around me grow and thrive, just through like the implementing of some beneficial services.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, there's no substitute for a mentor, and especially at a young age like that. That's just so fortunate you connected that way. But to your credit, to be inspired, to let yourself be inspired, and then to go to do so much. Now, do you feel like coming back to where you are now at George Mason again, coming into your final year there? Um, are you getting support from other students there or other faculty and staff? I'm just curious how that environment's been for you.
Yes, so we actually have 6 advisors who are from George Mason. So they all have done many different things with, the refugee and immigrant population, and they've had their research, they've done this, they've done that, and they've been in like third world countries, helping, uh, communities that are not in great shape. So they have also been leading us and helping us, come up with interventions, on surveys, consent forms. So we have a lot of George Mason faculties who are really like helping us and making sure that, we do go through with it, or
Yeah,
with it, just with anything that we need, they're really there for us. So that I'm really grateful for.
that's great. Well, since we're recording this, and hopefully this is going to get a good distribution. What do you need? What resource are you not getting? Not to put you on the spot, but I mean it's a good time to share. By the way, if I could get some help, what else do you need?
Yeah, so right now it's more of well, getting the word out about Safe Haven. So we just started. I mean, yes, the idea started a couple of years ago, but we
Yeah.
just started. So I guess, putting word out into the schools, centers that cater to refugees and immigrants, and just students who, you guys know, or anyone know that, can really benefit from joining Safe Haven. Any volunteers, therapists who will be able to like volunteer and give their time to help the refugees and immigrant students, that would be really amazing. So.
Yeah, yeah, because I got to forget you've got to look at the whole equation here because you're looking obviously for other students and staff, faculty to help you,
Mhm.
and then of course connecting with the younger students who need the support. But then from the professional community, you need volunteers to actually provide
Mhm.
um, services. Well, and then they ask, is it just volunteer? Or are you also in some cases connecting folks into the regular medical system? Is it
Yes,
just
yeah.
volunteer or full?
It also both volunteer, and having board members, executives who can also like execute different missions, and just we also want people to also come in and make sure that they take Safe Haven as their own, and if they have any ideas that they think would be really much needed in that community, they'll make it theirs as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, and I want to do this again towards the end of our discussion,
Mhm.
but Safe Haven itself, are you set up yet to receive? Is this from a funding standpoint? Can you receive contributions yet financially, or is that still to come?
So that's still in the works. So right now we're working on applying to be a nonprofit, and we can't
Okay.
collect donation until like after that's done with. And
Okay.
once done, which will be in like a couple of months or so, with the virus, it's been really hard to like get in contact with the Secretary of States and everything. So
Yeah.
once that is like done, we'll like post on our social media or website, just so everyone know that, okay, there's a donation link if anyone
Okay.
wants to give. So.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to put the hard push on our viewers yet for contributions, but we'll hold that thought until you're ready and just let them know
Yes.
that that's forthcoming. Well,
Thank
speaking of
you.
support, that's all right. Well, speaking of support, so I'm here today as a delegate, as a politician who is very focused on these issues. But what else do you think we can do better serve you, better serve the different communities? What's lacking from the political side of this, the leadership side of this in government?
Hmm. One thing that I really want to talk about is just like raising awareness and also including refugees and immigrants and Blacks in your like day-to-day conversation, and also how you can help. You can also educate yourself and the people around you on, the many different things and difficult things that, we have to go through because of laws that are not made for us. And also to just get to know more about us, just like you're doing now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, it's this is something I thought I knew a lot about, and I've learned just from our couple of conversations. I've learned so much, but I think a lot of it is awareness. A lot of it is getting us on the radar of more and more
Hmm.
people. Because you think about what is this, just using just the refugee subset of this. You think about, so, oh, we've gotten folks from wherever they were to the U.S. We set them
Hmm.
up with housing, and they're going to school. We're good. Well, that's certainly significant, but
Mm.
then you start talking about, yeah, they have needs beyond food and clothing and shelter, and it's
Exactly.
just like anyone, especially that younger age, having these mental health support needs. And so we've got to recognize that, yeah, that's just like any other person. There's a spectrum of
Hmm.
needs there. So I'll commit to you. I will try and do my best to share your story, but to share this need that we need to be looking at the whole picture here with folks
Hmm.
coming
Thank you.
in.
Hmm.
No,
And
it's
and
important.
also like speaking to the people around you, just so they're also aware of, what goes on in refugee and immigrant population and how they can also help.
Yeah. Well,
Hmm.
I know you get this question all the time because you're a senior, but I have to ask it anyway. And that's, as you look to your senior year and beyond, what is next? What do you think? I mean,
Um,
not obviously. I want to hear sort of multiple perspectives here, not just, there's Safe Haven, but then also you and the other things you're doing. What's next for you?
hmm. Well, for me right now, what's next for me is to like graduate with my bachelor's this spring. I'm also starting my accelerated master's this fall. So I want to like, get all that done. So I'll be graduating with like my master's next year, spring. Yeah, spring next year. And I do have like many plans and goals for like my future, including like, starting the mental health clinic project in Burundi in the next 5 to 6 years. But for now, I'm really focusing on Safe Haven and how to better implement mental health interventions. I'm also on the National Council, the UNICEF National Council. So that's what I've also been doing, and also on the student council for Ashoka U. So just want to be able to, help, even if it's not immigrant or in refugees. I also want to be able to like, raise my voice and make sure that, children around the world are being helped in the ways that they can. So.
That as well. Now, there's a lot to unpack there because you've got that sounded to me like 3 or 4 people, maybe 5 or 6 people's plan. So I'm going to try to understand that from what one person is going to be doing here. Tell me again. You mentioned a couple of councils you're on there, and I want my internet blipped a little bit there. So tell me again about your affiliations because that sounded pretty significant to me.
Yeah, sure. Let's start with UNICEF. So I'm on the UNICEF National Council. And so I started with UNICEF my freshman year of school, but I was also driven to them because of their like work and volunteerism in the refugee camp. And I was really happy when the volunteers would come and either teach us and provide different things for us, and they will
Yeah.
always give us like the sense of hope. And whenever they came, we were always happy. So when I saw that UNICEF Club was at Mason, I was really like I wanted to join.
Yeah.
So I've been with the club since my freshman year. But this past semester, I was the president for that year, and then I moved up. Like I was not done with UNICEF, so I wanted to do more. So I also applied to be on the national council, and I got in. So right now I'm on the leadership development team. And what we do with the leadership development team is to help different clubs and give them leadership skills and how they can lead their clubs within like their schools.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, what another amazing story that you remembered from your childhood, seeing the UNICEF volunteers, and then now to be working so closely, so nationally with them. That's pretty amazing. Now, let's come back to Burundi, and I think again the viewers will remember of your family's connection with Burundi. But why Burundi versus other places you've been or your family's come from? What do you think the particular need is there?
Yeah, and I've actually asked this question to myself multiple times. So I've done my research for many years, and Burundi is one of the countries that needs it, that needs the mental health, the mental health awareness, and it's still stigmatized in many like third world country. But I also wanted to be home. I wanted to be, a place that I am from. Aside from, Burundi needing this, I just wanted it to be somewhere that I was from. And I actually did not live in Burundi, so I just wanted to go back and visit and also just start something.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Well, all right. So now we'll come back to, I'm just putting these pieces together. So I know, so that's like you said, 5 or 6 years down the road, you're going to be finishing your master's. So let's talk about the time between finishing that master's and then getting to Burundi. What do you see yourself doing within that let's say 5 or 6 year time period? 5 years.
Okay. So right now I'm really interested in neuroscience, and within that time, before I also get my PhD, I do plan on getting my PhD, but that would be in clinic.
I mean, you have nothing else to do. Why not? Sure.
Yeah, so that would be in a clinic or clinical, but between, after to like that time, I want to work with doctors and just helping them find different problems with like the neuronal the neurosystem. So that's what I want to do within that time frame. But I also will be, working with Safe Haven. But once that is like, solid and, other people are like making it their own, I want to get into my PhD program. And that's around the time I'll be starting Burundi.
As well. So what would your PhD actually be in then? What would be the?
It would be in clinical science.
Clinical. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. Well, yeah. Well, I'm glad you're throwing a few other things in. I was worried you were going to get bored. So this is good. I'm glad you just get the PhD, and that'll keep things interesting.
No.
A little bit there. Yeah. There's just amazing again. Well, as we think about sort of step back for a moment. Anything else you want to share with the viewers? Just use some examples here. Viewers themselves who may, a couple categories, folks who may need help themselves, but also folks who want to give help, want to support what you are doing. What's the best way they can help in that regard?
The best way that they could help, first by reaching out, to me. I am on different social media, Facebook, Instagram, and just typing in my name and DMing me and letting me know that they do want to help. We are looking for volunteers who are able to add different activities for the students. So if anybody wants to help, if anybody wants to be on the research team, just to find like different interventions, just reach out to me and let me know, yes, you want to do this, and what you want to add to Safe Haven. And to the ones that do want this service, it'll be great opportunity to be working with those students who do want to be who do want to join Safe Haven, and we do want to create a safe space for them to communicate and get to learn more about themselves as refugees, as individuals, and just to learn more about mental health and how they can overcome anything that they have been through or that they're going through.
Yeah. So now I'm going to turn this around, because I've actually got a favor to ask of you. I mentioned my work in the legislature and the Health Welfare Institutions Committee that I sit on. I mentioned testimony. We have a lot of members of the public who will come talk to us about different issues. We cover more than behavioral health, but behavioral health is a big focus in the course now. But I'm not putting you on the spot, but I would love to have you in Richmond sometime. And again, we may be doing this virtually. I don't know what the session will look like this coming January, but I would love to get you to testify at some point and share some of your stories. Would you be willing to do that?
Yeah, I would love to. I would love to.
Well, that would be great. I think your personal story, of course, is very compelling, but I think you're going to have even more to share as you deal with more students, more families now through Safe Haven, and I think that would be really helpful to share that. And we'll get you down to Richmond. Oh, I say down again. We may just be doing another Zoom. I don't know. We'll see where that goes. Gosh, I have just thoroughly enjoyed talking to you today, and I'll ask one more time. Anything else you want to share right now with the audience?
I feel like I shared all of it.
Okay. Well, I asked just for this is a fun question. Just anything in particular you've done during the pandemic to occupy yourself? Although I'm sort of interrupting my own question, saying you don't seem to lack for things to do, but I'll ask anyway. Is there anything in particular during the COVID pandemic that you've done that's been enjoyable? Something you may not have done before because of it.
Yes, actually, I'm a plant mama right now. So I have 6 plants now. I've just been propagating different things in my house. So that's one thing that's really been really enjoyable. And I always look forward to working out with my roommate, who's my close friend. So even though we don't stick to the schedule, but we try to. But yes, it's always fun. And I'm really loving the planting. So yeah.
That's good. Well, I mean, coming back to the mental health part of this, we all have to got to stay active and got to stay engaged. And I think that's the new hobbies and things are great. And then figuring out where we can connect safely with others. You have to do it. I mean, it's human nature. And gosh, I think even I'm a politician. My whole life has been connected with other people. So I'll tell you personally, it's been hard not to have the direct interaction. But I'll say, meetings like this have been great. And honestly, I sort of question would we have connected but for the fact that we're doing all these Zoom things now? I'm not sure, even though I do go up to Northern Virginia, I'm not sure I would have necessarily come to George Mason and met you now. So I feel blessed that, with the virtual connections, I've been talking to people around Virginia, around the country, and actually not from other countries, and I probably would not have connected with a good number of them, but for the fact that we were brought together in this different way. So I'm trying to put a positive light on what could be a challenge. It's been a challenging situation for a lot of people. But again, I really, really have enjoyed this, and I absolutely wish you the best for the coming school year. I'm writing down that we're going to get you in front of the committee. So we're going to get you a day in January or February. Have you come to Richmond, or again, we'll put you on the Zoom there. We do use that technology with the committee. But let me just finish by saying best of luck. I just think you're going to do amazing things.
Thank you so much. And I also just want to say thank you so much for giving me a voice. You know, speaking to you has been really eye-opening, and I'm just really grateful for this amazing opportunity. Thank you.
Okay, well, stay safe out there.
You too.